Hey everybody, it's Joe Trippi, and welcome back to That Trippi Show with my co-host Alex Sashlow. This week, ding dong, Trump finally had enough of Pam Bondi. She's gone. Alex has a stat that explains how much trouble House Republicans are in, but what do Democrats have to do to win back disillusioned Trump voters? I'm not sure they have to do as much as other people do, but we'll get into that. Alex, where do you want to get started today?
I do have to say, I've never really paid attention to our intro music, but it hits. I was bopping on the way in today. This is good. So I got to start listening to it more. I'm going to ask for the full track, and I'm just going to make it my ringtone or something for when you call. For now, it's
Don't do
actually your
that.
parrot.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Well, let's talk some good news. Pam Bondi just got fired while we were prepping for this show today. That seems good, right? Does it change anything?
Well, it may put Epstein back on the front burner in that it looks like Todd Blanche is going to be at least interim, if not the Trump's appointment to replace her. We're talking about the guy infamously for going down and interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell, and then days afterwards, nothing there, and days afterwards, she's
at a country club.
Club. So I'm not sure. I mean, look, we all have to be happy that Pam Bondi, that Trump finally figured out that was one of his bigger mistakes. It took him a while to figure that out, only because the real weird thing here is, okay, so remember the famous, hey, the Dow's at $50,000.
Highlight of my year.
She did not even understand that it's points, it's dollars on the Dow. And then she caught herself right before she did it. But I don't know. I think we're good in correction zone now because of the war in Iran and everything else the president's done. Get rid of her. And I think a lot of the stuff he was doing was to get Epstein off the front pages. And I think Todd Blanche being his choice, if that turns out to be true. Of course, we're moving on just quick information flow here. So that means, we'll see what happens. But that'll be something.
Yeah, he will at least be acting from what we're seeing right now.
Right, and if he's appointed, though, he's got to get that's whoever it is, whoever the permanent. I mean, you're not going to have acting for 3 years. I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past Trump, but or 2.5 years. But it's more whoever he would appoint has to get Senate approval, and that's going to be. I don't know if Todd Blanche can do. Maybe these guys will walk the tightrope and walk the plank, and their last in the Senate, one of your last votes, if you're a Republican senator, will be to affirm and confirm Todd Blanche as the Attorney General of the United States. We'll see how that goes. I don't think in the end that probably means you're right. It is interim. Yeah. It'll probably be somebody else.
But it would seem pretty smart that a confirmation hearing for the AG should be the Democrats on judiciary should just make it their mission to say the word Epstein as many times as possible. This should absolutely be a circus. Whether it even gets there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Todd Blanche kind of guarantees that if that's how this is going to play out. We'll see.
What I'm still confused about is why she got fired. And what I mean by that is he liked her yelling about the Dow in her hearing.
Alex, answer this question. Is the Dow at 50,000 today?
No, I've actually just checked. It's at 46, which is actually lower than it started the day, but yeah.
Yeah, but my point is if she got that wrong, he's got to get rid of her. I mean, that could be the whole reason right there, the way this guy, does things. But no, I think I do think it is.
No, he loved how much of an asshole she was in that hearing. But you think
but now they're trying to go into their "we're not asshole" period, right? Where they get, ICE isn't wearing masks at the airports, all that stuff to try to temper it down for a little bit. it's going to come back with a roar, but I think that's part of what they're doing here.
So they're not in asshole mode, and this is I wanted to get to. You and I were emailing about this. Harry Enton tweeted this stat, which I thought was telling. House GOP knows trouble's brewing. A record 36 House GOP retirements so far. Why are they leaving? Just 40% approve of Trump, 40% nationally. Again, that depends on which poll. Zogby has it a little higher. Poll of Polls has it a little lower, a lot lower. When presidential approval is under 50 in midterms, the presidential party average loss is 34 seats. The smallest loss is 9. Obviously, Democrats get a majority with the pickup of 3. So average loss, and I actually hadn't seen this stat before. I know there were some big wipeouts historically, and maybe that number is actually inflated by wipeouts. But when you've got a razor thin margin, you've got a super unpopular president, yeah, go run for governor, go run for city commissioner, go run for whatever else you want to do and not tie yourself to this sinking ship anymore. But Joe, this is looking like a wipeout and they know it.
But of course they know. I mean, look, they know. I think we're going to be seeing 6% inflation by the end of the year. I think all this higher gas prices and diesel, fertilizer, aluminum, parts, all of it is just now seeping in to the economy. In other words, so far all you saw was gas prices and diesel prices go up, but the rest of it, the what that's going to do to the price of everything, because you can't move anything without using gasoline, natural gas, all that stuff. And those increased prices are going to drive up the price of everything. We know that. I think you're going to be seeing 6% inflation by the end of the year, GDP declining. And I think also, the Fed's not going to be lowering interest rates anytime soon. And on top of all that, you've got I think it's only going to get worse. We're probably going to be looking at oil hitting 150 a barrel, if not 200. 200 would be way out there, but within the next month or two, we could be seeing that. And it does not look. I mean, I agree with I guess the letter from the Iranian president. I think it was that basically said they thought Trump seemed a little desperate to get out of this mess that he created. I don't like
He
agreeing
very
with.
much is.
Yeah, I don't agree. Don't like the fact that I'm agreeing with somebody. With what I think was the president of Iran. I can't remember directly, but yeah, think he's right. It sure looks that way. Seems that way, and I think the whole reason is what I just talked about. They know that inflation is cooking. Oil prices are cooking, gasoline prices. And by the way, we've only had a few weeks of gasoline being, $4
Right.
out.
The real, and we
Yeah,
talked about the kind of shockwaves from this haven't really
yeah.
even hit. Like
No,
what you've seen
not.
so far are essentially gas companies seeing what's about to happen and preemptively jacking up the price. They have yet to really deal with the actual supply chain issues that will continue to cause that to
Well,
rise.
yeah, a lot of stuff that's going on has been underreported. The Iranians have hit aluminum plants in the Middle East. They are. It's clear that they are strategically targeting things. I know for all we've wiped them out, they've got nothing. They can't do anything. They're still pretty much uh, working on a strategy. This isn't like just, willy-nilly. They're targeting where they think it can hurt the most. Those aluminum plants shutting down will take a long time to get back up. One of them was only slightly damaged. The other one was much more damaged and shut down the plant. So all of this, again, Trump in the speech, we've won, it's all over, it'll be over soon in 2 or 3 weeks. Well, first of all, if even he is saying it won't be over for 2 or 3 weeks, it means that we're already literally what's been going on is there were ships out in the ocean with oil on board from before this happened because it takes them weeks to get, across
Right.
to Asia and stuff. We're literally within a day or two of every full ship that was on the seas having been to port and being emptied. And so like that shock of that moment has not hit yet. There's all kinds of these kind. Even if the strait opened up tomorrow, but magically and mystically, um, the
It
months
won't.
that it'll take, yeah, it's not going to happen in the months that it'll take. That's why I say 6% inflation, maybe eight. And I think, and we're now talking, by the way, if it gets up in that range, you're now starting to get into oil shock, 1970s oil shock. That many people think this will be bigger than that. We'll see. I'm not quite there myself, but I do think 6 to 8% inflation and definitely $5 gasoline. And obviously
Yeah,
in many
four
places.
408 today. It actually once in a while the homepage of CNN is still good. Right now it's Trump fires Pam Bondi, and then right next to it is 408 tracker plus
Yeah.
$1.10 in the last since February
Yeah.
28th.
Well,
And
and
headline,
and this is the
well,
whole point. I'm going to make it again. We keep talking about the $1 billion a day we're blowing up in munitions and missiles and things to fight the Iranians. There is a war tax, my friends. It's that $1.08 you're paying. And by the way, if 100 million Americans are filling their tanks today, at a dollar over what they were paying before this started, that is the war tax. And you're paying it at the pump. And it's many more billions than just the missiles that we're using and the munitions that we're spending on a war of choice that now even I think a lot of experts thought, okay, it was a war of choice, but maybe it's now a necessity to get the Straits of Hormuz open, regardless of why Trump blundered into it. But Trump is now sounding the hey, it's your problem, not mine, even though I created it. And then he'll blame all the people who don't respond. We're watching all this in real time. I don't think the American people are going to buy it. They all know who did this. They all know who started it. They all know when they're filling their tanks up. By the way, he had no problem pointing that out when Joe Biden was president,
right.
and then bragging about how he got oil gas prices down to $1.89, and there was no one in the world, not anybody, not a single gas station that was selling gasoline at $1.89, but he kept saying it, and he can't. Well, I guess he can keep saying it, but every American knows it's 408 today and up and or higher, and going to go higher from here.
So I do want to just read this email from Dale in Michigan, who about 2 weeks ago show he said something nice about the bracket, but then he said, "I enjoyed your comments about the races in play, but think you overlooked a critical subject. The farmers in the Midwest are facing rising costs, and they will blame Trump. The Iran war is raising the cost of fuel for their tractors. They're facing rising costs in purchasing fertilizer, and in all likelihood, they'll be facing shortages in obtaining fertilizer. Every farmer I've talked to may be facing bankruptcy because of higher prices. Strong mark against Trump if farmers may leave some fields unplanted, thus reducing farm income. Combination of higher prices and fallow fields will cause the loss of many family farms." That's a pretty good summary. I think
Well,
you've hit that
we
today and in the
yeah,
past, but
we have
this was before, but
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
but
I think it was a nice summary.
we have so few family farms now as it is because of everything else Big Ag has bought and paid Washington for. And so I think you're right. I mean, this could be the final blow for a lot of family farmers that are still out there struggling mightily. I still would not underestimate the number of them that will stay with Trump, um, and believe he must have a good reason, or that he's their guy and they're going to stick with him. But I think plenty of them are leaving, and I think we've talked about independents have been gone for a while, and I don't, and it's getting worse. So, wait, what did he say that was nice about the, you
Oh,
know,
I have a folder of them. I would be
no.
happy to send you more bracket stuff.
Yeah, so
But hey, I
everybody,
want
as
to.
you know, we did a bracket thing. I was completely caught off guard and extremely uncomfortable, and still am at the entire idea of Alex just out and surprising me with like, okay, this or that. But anyway, it turns out that a lot of you liked it, and so my guess is Alex will be brainstorming some crazy ways to keep me off balance in the future because you guys all seem to take some kind of sick pleasure in that. Okay. So,
Well, hey,
yeah.
I want to get to one more thing about the war tax you pointed out, and then we got to
Yeah.
talk about the rest of the non-independents that are moving away from Trump. But
Sure.
and man, that really threw me. I started it, and I had nothing back, man. So Trump this week, I think one of the things that really has not gotten a lot of press, and Joe, I know your daughter's going through this right now. I am starting next week in paying for daycare. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
The quote that Trump said this week that caught my eye was, "We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. We can't take care of healthcare," and kind of went on and on
We
and on.
can't do
And
Medicaid, Medicare,
can't
all
do,
of
yeah,
it. Yeah.
there's been this rumor going around for the last like 5 or 6 days that the Senate GOP is going to try really hard to shoehorn a bunch of healthcare cuts in to pay for the war, but like it's different when he says it on video, and he hasn't had that bad of it. Like I can't remember a
No.
gaffe that bad in a
No,
while.
this was like
Or
we can't, yeah, can't do daycare. We got a war going on, folks. I mean, it's like, yeah, and we can't do Medicaid, Medicaid expansion. None of it. We're gonna have to take. By the way, we're gonna have to pay for the war with all those things that we're gonna cut. And yeah, that's this is the part where the GOP and the senators and in the House, the senators, obviously GOP senators in the and then the House members are like rocking a hard place because if he says, you know, cut cut all this stuff, pass a bill that does that, and give me more money for the war. And they do it. This thing's really unpopular, and those cuts are going to be really unpopular. He just said it out loud. And if they walk away from him and say hell no, which is what they should do, which they have not done ever since he came down the escalator. So we'll see if that courage steps up. But if they do that, no one's going to vote. The base isn't going to vote for them. So yeah, I mean, I know everybody keeps, and I guess we're about to get into this about how toxic the Democratic brand is. And I've been saying for you and I both have been saying for a couple of months now, yeah, true things that we have to deal with are going to be dealt with probably in a presidential campaign in 2028. But right now, there's a brand that's much more toxic than Democrats. We won't get all those people, but I think the MAGA brand and Trump are are much more toxic. No matter what the polls say,
yeah.
you
Well,
know, I'm
here's
looking at real results, not polls.
so, and this is what I wanted to get to today. I will link it in the show notes, but Stan Greenberg, who giant in the polling industry, and also I think am I right? Did he help start the Democracy Corps? That was his thing back in
Yeah, no,
response to, but
he's great.
yeah, yeah, and
We've done a lot of races where his firm was the pollster. They do great numbers, um, and I think he makes a lot of sense.
so
Uh,
here's his lead that kind of grabbed me. An astonishing 1 in 5 2024 Trump voters now shun the Republicans in a prospective 2028 race. This is a full fledged working class revolt where 21% of Trump voters without a college degree say they're finished with Trump's party. How sweet it is that the groups, quote unquote, leading the revolt are the ones Trump and the MAGA strategists thought it would anchor the new Republican coalition. Fully 27% of blacks and 41% of Hispanics now say count them out. And in this survey that was done, I think for Jacobin, 57% of Biden Trump switchers, so people who voted Biden in 20, Trump 24, say they will not vote Republican in 28. That was the lead, and he had
yeah,
me. And then there was a lot, but his point was there is still some serious concern, and this goes into all those autopsies we talked about last year, including the one that didn't get released. They aren't coming back to, so a lot of those people aren't coming back to Democrats yet. Many actually in these polls are saying that they like Democrats less than they like Trump and MAGA. So, like, I'm
there's
curious what your reaction was to the rest of this.
yeah, like okay, we all I've said this like till I'm blue in the face. Okay, they aren't. They first of all. they're just, when he says they're just coming back, they aren't coming back to Democrats. Many actually like Democrats less than Trump and MAGA. Remember, many of them didn't vote before Trump and MAGA, right? This was their, we need to change everything and these guys will do it. And now they're finding out, well, no, those guys aren't going to do it. Um, I think this is a valid point that he's making, but it has no impact on 2026. 2026 is going to be a train wreck for the Republican Party and MAGA and Trump. And I don't think there's particularly if I'm right about 6%
Right.
inflation, 8% inflation,
No,
five,
nothing is going to
yeah,
matter.
nothing's going to save them. Um, I think many of these disillusioned people, I think a lot of the switchers who voted for Biden and then voted for Trump may switch back in terms of, I think a lot of them will be voting for Democrats at the House and Senate level in this election. The problems with the Democratic brand, some of it has been, decades of unanswered attacks and all that. But that's not really what's going on. Both parties drift um, to their base. And, the Republican Party, whoa, has done a hell of a lot more than just drift, right? They went over a cliff. Democrats have problems with the left in their base too. Um, and we're going to have, as we always do, a huge fight in 2028 for the nominee of the party. And, look, if we can all get into an argument about whether that's going to end up being AOC or Andy Bashir, but it will be decided in that fight, just like the fight over the future of the party that Bill Clinton made in 1992 with complete different look at taking on a policy. I agree that we need to have better policy on the border, on immigration, real policy. Somebody's going to run, and I think all these candidates will have their suggested answers. One of them is going to win. Tell me what that Democrat's message is and who he or she is leading the party towards the fight in 2028, and I'll tell you whether Stan's right or not. He's right to make the warning. I just think the timing in terms of it having an impact for 2028, when the only thing that matters right now is complete, which I think is happening everywhere. You saw it in
Right.
Texas with Tellerico and Crockett. The party's putting all that crap aside right now.
And just
We're
going for
not,
the
we're
win.
having
Yeah.
primaries, but we're putting, when it's over, we all are getting behind, and there's only one goal: beat the damn MAGA Republican who's on the ballot against you in 2026. Because if we don't do that, we've got enough things to worry about in 2028.
So there's kind of a related question. We tried to get to this last week, but ran out of time. This is from Stephanie in Minnesota. Can the whole AI data center thing actually break through all the Epstein/affordability noise? Will anyone actually campaign on it? And Joe, I think a fair way to say it is it fits in, right? I mean, there are real parallels you can draw to rising costs, to the threat of jobs being taken away. And we have some stats on this, but yeah, AI is going to be a thing this year, and campaigning about it is going to be a thing. And it's not about competing with the noise; it's part of it, right?
Yeah, it is. It's I think it's going to be a major issue. I think it's going to only increase in saliency as inflation and pain in the economy continues to grow. Senator Mark Warner, and you put this in the notes, but it's a good quote, said at the Axios AI Summit a week or two ago, excuse me, quote, AI economic disruption is going to be exponentially bigger than he thought just a few months ago. The recent college graduate unemployment is 9%. And he said, quote, I'll bet anybody in the room it goes to 30 or 35% before 2028. So you're a world in which college graduates, their unemployment is
It's a
going to
third.
be at 30 to 35% in 2028. That's 18 months from now, folks. Um, If you understand that, you also understand that the energy costs that are going up because of the war were already going up because of the energy demands of the data centers and the energy demands of AI. Um, you put all that together and you tie it together with affordability. And yes, people are scared about the threat to their jobs as well. Also, by the way, there's plenty of great quotes out there from from the proponents of AI saying, "Hey, this could kill us all." So there's all kinds of reasons
Well, what I
why,
think it
if
what
attacking Iran doesn't create it's something else. It's AI is, yeah, it is. What's worse though is how Trump aligned. This is another one where it's going to turn out to bite him because he's so aligned with the tech bros and the AI guys and the crypto guys and all of it. Um, that it's almost been like anything goes. Hey, we'll set up a reserve to buy crypto, U.S. reserve for crypto, AI. I want all the blocks taken out so we can defeat China, all that stuff. He and MAGA, in terms of I'm talking about the votes in the Senate and the House, have been pedal to the floor on AI. He talks a game about, hey, we should have these restrictions, but it never happens. Not going to happen. And so I think, Senator Mark Warner, um, he sits on committees that knows and gets heads up and knows this stuff. So when someone like Senator Mark Warner says that the economic disruption is going to be exponentially higher than he thought, and that college graduates will have 30 to 35% unemployment in 18 months. Let's say he's wrong. He's off by 6 or 22 years. That is going to be felt. It's starting to be felt now. Some of it you can't figure out. I mean, is the slowdown and jobs numbers going down because of the tariffs? Is it because AI is suddenly kicking in? Is it because of the war? But in the end, all of it, AI, the war, tariffs, are all going to be, I think, major issues because of what they're doing to the economy. In other words, like it turns out that the one thing that can unify the American people is high gas prices. I did see that before. It worked for
yeah,
Reagan, right?
right.
So I would not bet, and that I think it is one of the things that in Stan's piece. I mean, he does do all I think look at everything, but I think the circumstances in 2028, just as they are now. I mean, the circumstances now have changed dramatically in the last 3 months. I mean, 3 months ago, I wouldn't have said, I don't, I think we were saying, hey, we might have a shot at the Senate. It's going to be a big lift, but we might be able to do it. I no longer believe that. I believe we have a
Yeah,
great shot at it. So that's what I'm saying. That's all just been a shift to 3 months. I think a lot of this is looking at the past, and rightfully so. We all do that too. But I think there's a lesson here. Um, I think the lesson I've always learned is that everybody always bitches about how the party has no message or that it sucks. They're usually right. And then along comes a Bill Clinton or a Barack Obama. We were all dead. We hadn't won anything in 84 or 88. 92 is going to be more of the same. Then Clinton comes along and it's not the same old in terms of policies and things. And the same with Obama. It was a totally different kind of campaign. It wasn't the establishment. It was hope and change. And I think 2028 is going to be a change election too. I think 2026 may launch it big
right.
time, but yeah, you will take messaging, real ideas, and I think we have a talented field. I couldn't guess as to who's going to win it right now, but we have a very talented field. And I don't know. Wait. So he didn't get, is JD Vance going to be their nominee after he does not negotiate an end to the Iran war or the opening of the Straits of Hormuz? Will he be? So there's so many different things that are going to happen,
Right.
and so many opportunities for. Look, this year we're getting a lot of help from Donald Trump and MAGA. Let's like just be honest about it, right? That's straight. We still have a lot of things. Although the other side of this is we did a hell of a recruitment job. We have stellar candidates. We have an overflow of great. Like Iowa, we have two great candidates for the Senate. Josh Turek and Zach Walls. Um, I mean, talk about talent on the bench. We've got two, both of them in a dead heat against the Henson, the Republican. I don't know which one's going to win. Love them both. Pick one, support them, but get ready to don't lose sight of that race in Iowa. We're going to win that seat. So this is all going on. A lot of the old faces that we're used to seeing in the party, there's going to be a great renewal this year with people like Tellerico, whatever problems that any of them develop as they continue to run. But some of them are going to win and shine and be new faces with a new direction for
Oh,
the
yeah.
party. And that's, so I think a lot of these think pieces, and like I have a lot of respect for Stan, I really do. But I just think it's,
Yeah,
and I
no,
thought
I
it
mean,
was a
it was
very
more, it was
interesting
more,
piece.
well thought through.
Yeah.
It definitely puts the point that I was like blown away
Well,
with was just how bad it is numbers wise for his coalition, just in another, through
Oh
another
yeah, no.
lens.
He's right about we've got to be have a better crime message, a better
Yeah.
a better border message. I mean, all the things he said we have to do better. He's right. I just don't think they're going to get better in 2026. That's my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
going to get better in the or to the extent or worse. I mean, we could somebody else could win that battle and be our nominee in 2028, and we've seen that movie too, where the party just keeps going towards the cliff. Their party has gone over the cliff. We can be more pragmatic, stick with our principles, come up with better policies, and win.
So that's a good place for us to wrap up today, Joe. Anything else?
No, thanks everyone for listening to or watching That Trippi Show. Thanks, Alex, for all you do for me and our listeners. Make sure to join us at sez.us, a civil social network for real human beings. It takes work to build one, but that's a hell of a lot better than feeding the beast at X or Facebook. This podcast will always be free and is part of Lincoln Square, so check out the latest at lincolnsquare.media. Also, I think we've released 5 shows of On the Ground with Joe Trippi in Iowa. Rob Sand, Zach Turek, Josh Turek, Zach Walls, 3 great candidates there, governor and Senate. You should check them out and support them. And also, I did a couple of interviews with reporters I really respect out there who know what's going on the ground. So check those out. Also, if you're listening to this episode on YouTube, please like and subscribe to get alerts when we post the next episode. You can always send us a question to thattrippishow@gmail.com or leave us a question and a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week. Thanks all.